Hi, my name is Chuck Gardner. It's another one of my long, boring golf videos. In this one, I wanted to explain my background in golf. I was born in 1952 on the south side of Chicago, and my early exposure to golf was an old set of clubs in my basement that I inherited from my grandfather, who died when I was 3. My grandfather was an electrician at a bookbindery, and I inherited in my basement all of his tools, his hardware, his gizmos that he built, and he was like a Mr. Wizard electrician. And I also inherited about 300 unbound textbooks, college-level textbooks, all the classics, Encyclopedia Britannica, Unabridged Dictionary, which is why I turned out to be a know-it-all. Now, his set of clubs was an old set of hickory clubs, Mashie Niblicks and things like that, hickory shafted, which I managed to break in the backyard. And I really didn't have any exposure to golf except on TV, where I would watch it and I was fascinated by it. One of the first memories I have of golf on TV in the 1950s on black and white TV on Sunday afternoons, a Shell World, Wide World of Golf, or whatever it was called, was a trick shot artist, and I didn't remember his name at the time, but it was Count Yogi. And he was a really eccentric character, and he was doing this trick act with a golf club where he had tied a club head to the end of a bullwhip, and he was hitting perfect shots with the bullwhip. And it fascinated me, and I got out my grandfather's clubs and I figured out how he was doing it. And the way you do that is the principle of you can't push a rope, but you can pull it straight. So what Count Yogi did is he started with a club in front of him, dragged the club head on the ground until the bullwhip was tight, and then once that bullwhip, because it was braided and twisted, was straight, if he moved it very slowly, the bullwhip acted like a solid metal shaft, and once he kept the bullwhip straight and taut, it was just like a regular club. And the trick at the transition was, at the top, you have to reverse and do that magic move at the top so there's no slack in it. And at one point I actually did this with a broken club shaft with a grip and a rope and a tennis ball, and I was actually able to, that's how I perfected that magic move. And that magic move, people don't realize it, is that when you twist your back all the way back here, when you fire your hips, there's a reflexive side bend action. And side bend is something that isn't mentioned much in golf instruction because it's so reflexive. Good athletes do that, and that's really the key in the downswing. So I had an early fascination with golf, but no opportunity to play it. The first time I ever was on a golf course was in 1975, I think. I started out my career in Washington, D.C. as a photographer on Capitol Hill. Then I was hired as an apprentice by the most successful wedding photographer in the country, Monty Zucker. Did weddings at big hotels, dressed in a tuxedo. And then, by dumb luck, I bought a house next door to the assistant chief of the photo labs at National Geographic, who mentioned he was setting up an apprentice program, and 3 weeks later I'm working at National Geographic in the photo labs. And on one of their company outings, they went and played golf, so that was my first experience golf with a set of rented clubs, and I hit a perfect 5-wood that landed on the green on a par 5 and parred the hole, and that hooked me on golf. But I didn't get a chance to play it again until 1983. By then I'm in the Foreign Service managing a printing plant in Manila, Philippines, at the rank of colonel in the Foreign Service, FP1 job. And I'm deputy director and production manager of this 150-person printing center at age 31, and all of my buddies at work play golf, so I went and bought to Clark Air Base and bought a set of Browning Premier golf clubs, which were blade irons and stainless steel headed, metal shafted driver, 3-wood and 5-wood. So that's how I started playing golf around the courses in Manila with a caddy between 1983 and 87. It wasn't until 87 back in the States when I had access to books, and the first books I bought were Golf My Way by Jack Nicklaus, who said he never saw a shot as straight, and he had the best explanation of what shapes a shot and why you want to do it in Golf My Way. I recommend that book to anyone. He also has a companion book, My Golden Lessons, which he wrote in retrospect. Those two books bookend each other and are really gems for golf wisdom. But what Jack explained was that the backspin axis of a ball hit dead straight is like a level airplane wing. And if you swipe it from the outside, what happens is it tilts the gyroscopic spin plane, which creates the fade shape. And the reason you want to fade an approach shot is because after it lands, it's going to kick from the left to the right. And so if you have a tucked pin on a green that's going this direction, you want to hit a fade into it. It's like steering an airplane into a runway. That's how I visualize shaping shots. A draw is the opposite. You close your stance in the face and swipe across the inside top of the ball. That tilts the spin axis this way, which causes the plane to fly this way. And if you have a green that runs from right to left with a back tuck pin, bam, you can hit that. Last year, I was playing at Carolina National here in North Carolina on the Ibis course, which has a par 5 on the first hole. And I was set up, I was about 130 yards away from the green, and I aimed my shot far to the right, and I was trying to put an extreme draw on it because the green ran the other direction. So I was short-sighted to the green, but my plan was to hit a hook, a controlled hook onto the green. And the funniest part about that is I'm standing there setting up, and I'm facing way, way to the right of the target. And one of my golf buddies says, well, you know you're aimed at that house over there. And it was like, hold my beer. And I hit the shot, landed it perfectly on the front right of the green. It went down the center of the green 50 feet and dropped in the hole for an eagle. Now, you know, and that was when I'm 73 years old. And, you know, to be able to do this at my age, I mean, that's what I live for when I go out. I could care less what my score is at the end of the round. I just want to target every shot, and I score every shot on a score to 1 to 10 of how well I hit the target. So if, you know, there's 72 shots in there, if I score a 720 for the round, that's a great round of golf for me. I just approach the game differently because that's how I have fun. It's a silly game with silly rules, and stroke play will just beat you down, and so I don't play it that way. So that's my philosophy and why I approach the game differently. I've always been an out-of-the-box thinker, and I have no different approach with golf. I just look at the problem and try to solve it using goals, strategies, and then technique. And that's what I'm going to talk about in the next video, is, you know, approaching the game of golf with critical thinking.